Hey, it's Mazzy. I'm all over Dylan still. Bob Dylan. This movie, The Complete Unknown, now, fantastic film. I've said it several times in videos. You could quibble about a few things, but it's really expanded uh, the audience of Dylan to new people, that's to me right there the greatest. I mean, his songs are in the public consciousness all around anyway, whether it's his versions or others. But there's no denying, and this is factual, he is the most important American musical artist of our time, of the last 100 years. I don't care, taking classical music, other genres, jazz artist, Bob Dylan is the one. And for the time being, we're fortunate that he's still with us, and for the most part, been putting out music fairly regularly. Hasn't had a new album since 2020. Hopefully, something will come on the horizons. But what this is a bit of a ranking, but I'm only narrowing it down to five releases. These are my five favorite of the bootleg series, the boxes, the volumes that have come out over the years. I think, there's 17. We're at number 17. That was 2023. And we'll see what comes out next. And these bootleg series are the official bootleg series. Going way back to 1969, The Great White Wonder, considered the first bootleg, the first at least popular bootleg in the rock and roll years, Great White Wonder, of the Basement tapes. Now, this is a subjective because it's my picks, and I'm all in on Bob Dylan. I know a lot about Bob Dylan, but I'm not one of those freaks that knows every version and song. And if I get a few little facts off, don't sue me. Just put the comments below, and please do correct me because I'm frequently in error. I trouble over my lips, get a little bit of dyslexia here. So I've picked five, and I'm going to show you multiple formats, CD and vinyl, and in many cases, the CD versions are the full overview of this period of time. And there are several different directions of box sets. Now, I decided to not include the comp box sets like No Direction Home and what was the first one? Biograph, I guess. The ones that have multi-volumes and really changing around times. To me, I love when they concentrate on a period of time, a 1, 2, 3 year period, or an album or something. And to me, that's the stuff I love. Now, of course, I love listening to those bootlegs. And ever since I've been on this this current wave of Bob Dylan, I've been really diving into these bootleg series a lot because as much as I know them, there are so many surprises. When I put on a vinyl copy or I put on a CD, all of a sudden a version comes up that I'm not as familiar with as I am with the proper albums. And remember, outtakes, alternatives, bonus tracks, if you will, are not for everyone. And how many people need, countless volumes of Like a Rolling Stone or Stuck Inside a Mobile? Well, I do, and I love it. So I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1. I'll show you various formats in these, and a couple of them I don't have every format because the singular format, or maybe the 2 CD format, is covered in the larger box that I have. So the best of the Bob Dylan bootleg series. Coming in at number 5. Now, to me, this is one of the greatest. Well, of course, these are the top 5. What am I saying, Maz? But I want to show Bob Dylan's Fragments. This is the CD version. And what I love about this period, finally in the last few years, with the CD box sets, they have a form factor that aligns up. So the physicality of these are kind of nice because they're all the same. And they have these beautiful booklets and these beautiful annotations of these and all the recordings. This is from the 1997 period, and this is the Time Out of Mind session. The album that was Bob Dylan's creative comeback in 1987, and it's produced by Daniel Lanois. Now, what's interesting about this version, this is one of those rare times where a full album was remixed from top to bottom in the Bob Dylan catalog, and the remix improves massively on the original. Now, I wasn't a horrible hater of the original, the Daniel Lanois, but it had a certain sound that apparently Dylan, even right at the get-go, wasn't a fan of. So I'm not going to do a deep dive into the history of each of these, but content. But here is just to show you the form factor of this. And in this case, there are 5 discs. You have the Time Out of Mind, the 2022 remix. You have outtakes and alternatives with some great versions of The Water is Wide, Love Sick. I mean, some great stuff. Just what's great about Bob Dylan, I've said this before, if you've paid attention and you listen to me or if you've read these things, Bob Dylan's outtakes are frequently better than other people's final records. And when you hear the outtakes, sometimes you might, in the moment, really enjoy another version more than the one you know that you've known for a decade or 2 or 5. But ultimately, I think when you separate yourself and really think about it, Dylan usually picks the right ones. But it's great to hear his journey of changing lyrics, sometimes changing entire arrangements, time signatures, and musicians in some cases. And there are a bunch that I haven't included here. Just a spoiler here, I did not include the basement tapes. That's amazing. The full basement tapes is a great bootleg series. I did include More Blood, More Tracks, the Blood in the Tracks one. Great. And just because these are the 5 I picked, you're going to have favorites that I haven't included, that I'm not including here, but I like them all for different reasons and different moods. And that's what it's about. Then you have Live from 1998 to 2001, from that session, that period of touring, because the never-ending tour literally never ends. And then disc 5, a bonus disc of previous release, different versions on here. So this is a wonderful record. Now this is the big enchilada, and this is a 10 LP set. I have to go all in. There was a smaller LP version of it, which I didn't get because I don't need it, but obviously these beautiful slip cases. I remember when this came out, all of a sudden one day, if you know the Tone Poet series, Blue Note Records, and Joe Harley is Tone Poet. He's the one that curates the Tone Poet series. Big, massive jazz fan. Well, I discovered when I've done a few conversations with him that he's a huge Dylan fan. One morning on a Saturday, mine hadn't arrived yet, and he was texting me, "Did you hear Fragments yet, Mazzy?" And he was just raving about it. Oh, disc 1, disc 3, disc 5. So it's really kind of cool that Joe Harley was talking to me, because he knows my passion for Dylan too. So I love these various covers. These are separate gatefolds. Great pictures, most of which I haven't seen in the past. So you have again here, this is the remix album. This is one of the outtakes and alternatives. That's that killer cowboy hat that he was sporting then, huh? I mean, Dylan with the hats, I love it. Of course, outtakes, more outtakes and alternates. This is the live set. And this is the previous released. But look at that, come on. How could you not like that? And then you have these wonderful booklets. I'm not going to go through the booklets here because I know this is a visual medium, but I just really want to illustrate the great music here. And the great things he's edited out and his choices he made. And that's what's kind of really interesting. I love the journey of artists like Bob Dylan. And I can't think of an artist whose, again, outtakes are as good. The Beatles with their anthologies, nowhere near. They kind of, finished and pieced things together in the studio. Dylan would do complete songs that work intact like that. Coming in number 4 then, we're going to go with Bob Dylan Live 1975, the Rolling Thunder Review. Now this is the Hard Rain album, 1975-76. I kind of crossed that over. This is that minstrel show of a tour with Bob Dylan, with Joan Baez, with T-Bone Burnett, with Scarlett Rivera. It really was a follow-up after the Desire album and songs from that. And these are killer live tracks. I actually saw one of the shows. I guess it was 75 or 76. Was at least 75 probably. Austin, Texas. It was killer. That's when he was doing this white pancake face. He had this great hat, which he wears on the cover of Desire. This is the, I think it's a 3 LP set. And of course, in this case, this is before they expanded into that large format. This is a double CD. So you don't always have everything on both formats. And, go with the CD if you can find these. And some of them are very rare. I think there's only one, I think it's volume 8, I'm forgetting. There's only one on vinyl that I can't find, and it's extremely rare. And phone me up and find it and send it to me. I will thank you profusely. But what I love about this, when Hard Rain came out back in, was it 76? That was a single live album. And I remember right away, I thought, I wasn't really loving it. But then it hit me. It's like Dylan's punk album. It's one of his best intense live albums where he's shouting, and he's got Mick Ronson on guitar. And it's just, he's got this, again, it's the traveling minstrel show. And I do have from the Hard Rain, this was given to me by the Columbia Rep in 76. This is a Rolling Thunder belt buckle. So I don't know how rare this is, but it's great that you would get label things. When I was working in a record store, they were grifting and promoting me and promote this record. But I tell you, I have a promo of that Hard Rain album, and it's incredible. So hearing this entire tour is just amazing on here. I mean, you have him rechanneling and rejiggering his hits like Tonight I'll Be Staring Here With You, It Ain't Me, Babe, A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. There's a bite to these versions of these songs. Hattie Carroll, Romance in Durango. One of my favorite things, is it on here? Yeah, Hurricane. And on the CD version, it's expanded. Not this version. There's, oh, spoiler there. There's a version with with various versions of Hurricane, and that's that, long song. The live versions of that are stunning. I mean, I love the studio version that he recorded with that great violin of Scarlett Rivera thing. I just love that so much, but the live versions are killer. There's a certainty, there's an intensity about those versions. Just like a woman knock on heaven's door. One more cup of coffee for the road. Again, another version. Look at this wonderful booklet cover, the great artwork, the Rolling Thunder Review. Remember Ronaldo and Claire? That movie came out around these sessions. These are just single and not gatefold, each vinyl record artwork. But I remember the Ronaldo and Claire movie. I saw it at a screening, and it's something like, 3-4 hours? It was excruciating. I'd like to see it again now. I think I'd appreciate more. But some of those conversations, like semi-intimate conversation with Joan Baez and Dylan and the artists hanging around, it's basically like being on the road with them and just hanging out. So if you're a Dylan fanatic, and I think I need to see it again, and to be honest with you, I can't remember if that's even available to complete. Someone tell me, remind me. Is Ronaldo Claire available on video in its complete form? Legitimately. I'm not talking about bootlegs or anything. So anyway, that is number 3. Bob Dylan's Live 1975, the Rolling Thunder Review. The bootleg series number 5. A great series. Steve Berkowitz is one of the guys, the main guy, kind of curating these and putting together for Sony. And I applaud him. I think he always also does the Miles Davis issues on Sony. Okay, coming in number 3. Now this is one of my favorites. Well, these are 5 favorites. What am I saying, Maslow? Bob Dylan Live in 1966. This is the bootleg series number 4, the Royal Albert Hall concert. Now, Royal Albert Hall, of course, is in quotes because from the Great White Wonder and other, later bootlegs, there were bootlegs after the Great White Wonder of the Royal Albert Hall concert. It turns out those tapes are not, I repeat, they're not from the Royal Albert Hall concert, but we still refer to them as the Royal Albert Hall concert. They're from Manchester Hall. They're from Manchester. And it's so great. And this is Dylan and the band when he goes electric, but the acoustic sets, the acoustic set is beautiful. His version of Desolation Row and Mr. Tambourine Man and Just Like a Woman are sublime on here. Acoustic guitar alone. And then he comes up with the band and he plays like, Tell Me Mama, I Don't Believe You, Baby, Let Me Follow You Down, Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues, Leopard Skin, Pillbox Hat, One Too Many Mornings, Ballad of Thin Man, and of course, Like a Rolling Stone. This is the tour where eventually, I believe, was it this one, Levon leaves, quits, because people were literally throwing and booing things all the time. Obviously, the famous quote from Judas in here, and he says, I don't believe you. That's in here. That didn't happen as in the film, The Great Unknown. The Judas quote didn't happen at Newport, but they did a composite there. So I give them a pass on that because they weren't in the film touring to the UK in that period of time up through 1965. So I think that set a tone as storytelling, and I think it worked beautifully there. Yes, you can nitpick about it, but if you want to hear it, this is the great way to hear it. This is a really good sounding record, and of course, it did come out in this format. Just get this. I mean, if you want to hear some classic Bob Dylan, perfect in the time, this is a fantastic set. And in this case, live 1966, Bootleg Series, Volume 4. You have, of course, that classic look of Bob Dylan right there. Dylan in Europe. That and this fabulous book. Look at this. I mean, next to the Beatles, probably one of the most photographed popular artists of our time in our lifetimes, right? Bob Dylan. So coming in number 3, Bob Dylan, the Bootleg Series, live 1966 at the Royal Albert Hall. It was so cool. I went there twice. I went there first for the concert for George, hoping that Dylan would have been there. Why wasn't Dylan there? Come on. He could have rearranged his schedule, right? That's strange. Coming in at number 2, the record that Greil Marcus and a lot of Dylan fans hated. I don't know why. I liked that album when it came out, but that is Self-Portrait. And this is another self-portrait. This is Bootleg Series number 10, 1969 to 1979. This is a self-portrait literally painted by Bob Dylan. He did the cover of the Music from Big Pink album. Just, what an artist too in his own right. Now, whether you like this style or not, I think this is fabulous. There's the Bob Dylan. Now, this is one of the best listens to get a feel of something. It's got a certain country, folky richness to it. These are songs from Self-Portrait, Basement Tapes, New Morning, and Nashville Skyline. I am a massive fan of New Morning. I just love the richness of that. I love, there's a version on here of If Dogs Run Free, I believe. That is so different. I think it's on one of these. I could be wrong. But it's so different because that's that kind of beat poetry with the background singer. It's so cool on the proper album. But these versions are beautiful. If Not For You, the great song that obviously George Harrison covered on All Things Must Pass. A version without the overdubs of All the Tired Horses. That I think that opens up the album. I love Self-Portrait. It is a quirky thing. It's a mix of things with a live track from Isle of Wight. It's brilliant. And this, went to see the Gypsy. His voice at this period, you don't hear, except for the Nashville Skyline, where his voice gets kind of that little thin Kermit the Frog voice or something. The voice on New Mornings, there's a certain richness to that voice, it's so different. And it's amazing in those years of, post motorcycle accident and that period of time. When I paid my masterpiece, the demo, remember Dogs Run Free. It is the alternate version. I was right. Copper Kettle, Country Pie, incredible. This is incredible. But I think this album got reevaluated when this bootleg series came out. Remember the infamous quote from Rolling Stone? I think that title of the review by Grill Markets is, "What is this shit?" He just hated it. You got the great, again, single covers here. Album 2. Bootleg series. Now this actually looks like a bootleg style cover. And you kind of got these really cool vintage, like, I didn't show you all the labels or the inner sleeves, but I love this sort of old Columbia Records vintage. It was a great design element to put in here. And of course, the book, this is that perfect Bob Dylan. This is like a screen from the New Morning image there. But what a great thing. This is a period of time when he did Johnny Cash. Now, there is a Johnny Cash, George Harrison, Slender bootleg series that came out. I love that. I'm not including that either. What else I'm not including? As I said, I'm not including the comps like Telltale Sign, which is incredible, that period, or 89, I guess that was. I love that stuff. So by not including those records, doesn't mean I don't like them, but these are the 5. These are the 5. So coming in at number 2. This is it. This almost made my number 1, literally. I think this is a special album. Now, in CD version, again, get this one. If you're a CD person, you don't want to, do the vinyl and all the stuff, this is incredible. This also has the complete Isle of Wight concert from 1969, remixed in 2013, and it's got an original self-portrait release, the remastered original album. So you're going to get more bang for your buck on the CD than the vinyl, and you get these wonderful, gatefold booklets. And look at this. This is, the Dylan library just from these alone is incredible here. I just love it. There's like the studio, one of the studio sessions. Just love this period. Great stuff. Nashville, the greatest artist. You can tell how much how enthused I am about doing this video and playing these records. I've been playing them for the last month. Now, coming in at number 1, this is literally not for everybody, because this is from 1965 and 1966. So what, an 18-month period, I think it was, only. And it's such a fertile time period for Bob Dylan. And it's some of the period that's covered in A Complete Unknown, or at least the beginning of it, the first 2. 1965 and 1966, he puts out 2 albums, Bring It All Back Home and Highway 61. He goes electric. And then in 66, of course, he puts out Blonde on Blonde, which is my favorite album. And of course, in 65 there, that great single, possibly the greatest pop single, or one of them, of the 1960s, Like a Rolling Stone. The Cutting Edge. Okay, now this is the cutting edge, the best of the cutting edge. This is the vinyl version. This is 3 LPs? Yeah, this is 3 LPs, and it has acoustic piano demos, alternate takes from those 3 brilliant albums. Dylan going electric, but you have demos here, you have acoustic versions on here, and it's just simply fantastic. In this case, it came with a separate CD slipped in with the vinyl, a 2-disc. There's 2 discs of CDs that cover this, so you get the CDs along with the vinyl. So I didn't have to buy the separate little CD pack. You get these wonderful, there's a Maslowian flip again. You haven't seen that in a while. I call this the Maslowian flip, where you flip the record. You get these wonderful kind of vintage style. They weren't vintage to Bob Dylan, but just the whole old Columbia thing. Great graphics here. I love these. And of course, this wonderful graphic booklet, okay? Come on. This is the look. That's it. Timothy Chalamet, eat your heart out. This is various takes of these 3 brilliant albums. But being the guy, the all-in Dylan guy, I got this. This is the Bootleg Series, Volume 12, Bob Dylan, 1965, 1966. The Cutting Edge Collector's Edition. This is an amazing set. It's out of print. It's way too expensive for you now. Originally, I think it was $600. It's multi-CDs. It's a film frame, a clip, several frames from Don't Look Back. There's a lot of vellum in here. A certificate of authenticity. Now, this stuff is not necessary. Vellum. Vellum. God, how much vellum is in this thing? And of course, the book, the story, the session notes, the session details, who plays on what. Look at these photographs. Come on. How great is that? That's the stuff he did when Andy Warhol photographed him and filmed him. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, Mixing Up the Medicine, 1965 to 1966. But wait, there's more vellum. But this is it. Okay, look at this. How beautiful is that? These are all the CDs, and you have, I'm not thinking how many CDs, 18 CDs of music. You have, and I'm not going to even add it up here, I believe you have a dozen or more versions, working versions of Like a Rolling Stone. Now, I totally get that people don't usually need a multi-versions like that. But again, as a archaeologist of music here, I'm going to call myself an archaeologist of music. I'm not an archivist. I know an archivist, but I'm not myself an archivist. But I love following the journey, again, as I said earlier, of how that song came to be. And then, of course, again, if you saw the movie, Complete Unknown, that all of a sudden Al Cooper gets on the keyboard. He's not even a real keyboard player. He's a guitar player. He shows up at the session, wanting to be in the session. He just does that, da, 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 and that makes the song. Him and Mike Bloomfield make the song, and the rest is history. The CDs are in these slip-in cases. I know some CD people heads explode when they put them like that, but it's so great. You hear like Tom Wilson's voice occasionally on the talk back on here. This is incredible. Once a year, I put this on and I play them like over a week or so, like from beginning to end. They're that wonderful. It's kind of like my buddy Coleman and I, before his passing, once a year on a Saturday, he would come over and we would watch the entire 10 hours of the Beatles anthology on a Saturday from like 10, 11 in the morning until, it was over. Have food, have some cocktails, have a great time. A second book in here, The Cutting Edge, that goes through these recordings. Literally each album. Brilliant essays on here. And then in this case, what's also a nice little addition in this massive box set, and I think this was a nice little bonus. So, you got to pick and choose your battles when it comes to box sets and limited editions. And this is one that I will never get rid of in my lifetime. If I can get this out of here, I'll just show you these first. 45s, 7-inch 45 vinyl, various international picture sleeves. Positively 4th Street. One of my favorite songs early on Blonde on Blonde was I Want You. I just love this. I love this. Look at that. So great. I can't believe there's people I know that just don't like Rainy Day Woman. They think the album's good, but they don't like Rainy Day Woman. Everybody must get stoned. Give me a break. You're wrong. No, it's subjective. I understand that. Wasn't Bob Dylan, too, I think, the first artist that Columbia ever put out a greatest hits on, which a pop artist. And then, of course, they did the Birds and so many others and led the way. I could be totally wrong on that, but that's what I understand. And this is kind of cool. They do like a faux ring wear. Highway 61 Revisited. How great is that, of course. And since I can't get it out right now, leopard skin pillbox, but that is the interior of this amazing box set. Again, every version, every outtake, beautifully recorded. These aren't, for the most part, none of these in this whole bootleg series that Columbia puts out are subpar recordings. I think there are a few live things and few over the years. There's a track here, a track there, which is not like as wonderful, as sonic high as the rest of them, but these are really well curated. Now, some Dylan fans said they forgot this, they didn't include that. I don't think that way with this stuff. I just think what I have, not what's missing. There's always something you could say on a Beatles. Why didn't they include that version? That's the one from the David Letterman show he did for Infidels of Joker Man. People scream that kind of shit all the time. I'm talking to you, Todd. But I totally understand that. We lock on something that we really like and that's brilliant. We think it should be included. So that is pretty much it. That is the Bob Dylan bootleg series. My top 5 ranked from 5 to 1. My favorites. I guarantee you, if I do this video in 6 months, the order, some of these may change, and I would probably bring something else like the basement tapes in. But for right now, in January 2025, these are my top 5 favorites. So Bob Dylan. Let's see, where's Bob Dylan? Come on, Bob. Let's get a photo of you to close out. Mazzy loves you.